Welcome to Safe, Simple, Sound, Tax Edition. I'm your host PK. Today we have an exciting episode lined up where we use AI voices to bring tax concepts and strategies to life in an approachable way. But before we dive in, please note this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and does not constitute tax, financial, legal, or professional advice. Tax decisions should always consider your personal circumstances, filing status, and specific situation. Be sure to consult a qualified tax professional before making any tax related decisions. If you would like personalized guidance, you can reach out to me at safesimplesound.com/contact. Now, let's make taxes simple and sound.
Hey everyone, this is Alex, and welcome to second episode of Safe Simple Sound Tax Edition. Please note that all tax amounts, thresholds, and deduction values mentioned in this episode are examples only. Tax numbers change annually, and you must use the current official values from irs.gov when preparing your actual tax returns. Today, we're diving into the world of tax season, and more specifically, the advantages of e-filing. This episode is based on a helpful section of IRS document P17 Part 1 titled, Why Should I File Electronically? And it's packed with valuable insights to help you seize financial control and understand your financial choices. Two key tenets here at Safe Simple Sound. This article highlights several compelling reasons to ditch the paper return, emphasizing the speed, accuracy, convenience, and security of e-filing. We'll be exploring how these advantages translate into real-world benefits. And trust me, there are plenty, especially when it comes to reaping the benefits of that faster refund. Our discussion today will follow a clear three-part structure. First, we'll focus on the speed and accuracy of e-filing. We'll hear stories about a last-minute filer who gets a quick refund thanks to e-file. And we'll also look at how e-filing software helps avoid those pesky math errors. Then we'll move on to the convenience and security of e-filing. Imagine filing from a beach in Bali. We'll explore how e-file makes that a reality. We'll also discuss the crucial aspect of protecting your sensitive data during online transmission. Finally, we'll wrap things up by exploring the additional benefits of e-filing, like direct deposit and free filing options. And we'll also discuss the various ways you can actually e-file, helping you choose the method that best suits your needs. Whether you're a student, a small business owner, or somewhere in between, there's a solution for you. So, get ready for an information-packed episode full of practical advice and real-life scenarios to help you navigate tax season with confidence and create that financial safety net. Let's dive in. In our first episode, we've established who needs to file a tax return. But now, let's dive into the how. Today, we're focusing on e-filing, what it is, why it's beneficial, and why it might just save the day for those last-minute filers among us. Imagine this. Swift, a busy young professional, finally wraps up her taxes just hours before the deadline. She scrambles to e-file and breathes a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, her friend, let's call him Mark, mailed his paper return weeks ago, but is still waiting for his refund. This scenario highlights a key advantage of e-filing: speed. So Sam, let's unpack this. How does e-file's speed benefit last-minute filers like Swift?
E-filing significantly speeds up the refund process. The IRS processes electronic returns much faster than paper ones. Instead of weeks or even months, refunds can be received in as little as a couple of weeks with e-file, sometimes even faster with direct deposit. For someone like Swift, who filed just before the deadline, that speed is invaluable.
That makes total sense. I've definitely been in situations like that, staring at the calendar, panicking. Knowing I could get my refund back quickly, even filing last minute, would take off a lot of pressure. It's so much faster than dealing with paper, envelopes, and snail mail. So if I understand correctly, the IRS basically receives and processes the information instantly with e-file?
Not quite instantly, but much faster. Think of it this way. With paper returns, someone has to manually enter all the information from your forms into the system. With e-file, the information is transmitted electronically, reducing the time and potential for human error. This ties into the accuracy advantage of e-filing as well. Fewer errors mean fewer delays.
That's a great point, Sam. It's like ordering food online versus calling in your order. Online, your order goes straight to the kitchen. On the phone, there's a chance for miscommunication. Taylor, what are your thoughts on the potential downsides of waiting until the last minute, even with the speed advantage of e-file?
Well, even though e-filing is fast, rushing at the last minute could still lead to mistakes. You might miss deductions or credits, or enter information incorrectly, even with tax software helping you. This reminds me of what we discussed last week about organizing your tax documents. Even with e-file, that's still crucial.
Absolutely. Rushing can lead to costly errors, regardless of how you file. While e-filing reduces the risk of math errors, it doesn't eliminate the possibility of overlooking deductions or claiming incorrect credits.
So, to recap, e-filing offers a crucial speed advantage, especially for those who file close to the deadline. It's like having an express lane for your tax return. However, as Taylor and Sam pointed out, it's essential to be prepared and organized, even if you're e-filing. Don't let the speed of e-filing encourage procrastination.
Yeah, filing electronically does ease a bit of anxiety, but as we were discussing, early bird still gets the worm. And with proper prep comes peace of mind.
Exactly. Plan ahead, gather your documents, and even if you choose to e-file at the last minute, you'll be set up for a smooth and hopefully error-free process. So Taylor, we just talked about how e-filing can be a lifesaver for procrastinators, getting those refunds back quickly, even when filing close to the deadline. But speed isn't the only advantage of e-filing. Accuracy is another huge benefit, especially for folks with more complex tax situations. Let's imagine a self-employed individual juggling multiple income streams and deductions. Manually calculating everything on paper forms could be a recipe for disaster, right? That's where e-filing and tax software really shine. Sam, could you tell us more about how e-filing software helps minimize those common tax errors?
Absolutely, Alex. Tax software acts like a built-in double checker. It automatically performs calculations based on the information you input, significantly reducing the chance of mathematical errors that can occur with manual calculations. Think of it as having a virtual accountant verifying every entry.
So if I enter my income and deductions correctly, the software does the math for me, ensuring I'm not accidentally adding instead of subtracting or transposing numbers.
Exactly. It eliminates those simple yet costly human errors. It also flags inconsistencies or missing information, prompting you to double-check specific entries. For example, if you enter a deduction that seems unusually high for your income bracket, the software might flag it for review.
That's a great point, Sam. It's like having a safety net built into the system. Taylor, what comes to mind when you think about the safeguards in place to ensure accuracy within tax software?
Is there built-in security to prevent errors within the software itself? Like, are these programs regularly updated to reflect the latest tax laws and regulations?
Yes, reputable tax software providers rigorously update their programs to incorporate the most current tax laws, forms, and IRS guidelines. These updates ensure the calculations are accurate and compliant with the latest regulations. They also conduct extensive testing before each tax season to identify and fix any bugs or glitches.
So it's not a static system, it's constantly evolving to stay current. Let's say our self-employed individual uses this software and enters their 1099 income, business expenses, and home office deduction. The software automatically calculates the taxable income, applies the correct tax rates, and determines their tax liability or refund amount. Sam, can you give us a counterexample? What might happen if they were to do this manually?
Manually calculating could lead to several potential issues. They might misinterpret a deduction rule, miscalculate a percentage, or simply transpose numbers when adding up multiple income sources. These seemingly small errors can have significant consequences, resulting in an incorrect tax liability, penalties, or even an audit.
So if I understand correctly, using tax software not only automates the tedious calculations, but also ensures I'm applying the right rules and regulations, minimizing the risk of errors and potential penalties. That's a huge peace of mind, especially for someone like me who's not a tax expert.
Exactly. It simplifies the process and minimizes risk. To recap, e-filing software helps avoid math errors by automating calculations, flagging inconsistencies, and staying up to date with the latest tax laws. This significantly reduces the chances of mistakes compared to manual calculations. So we've covered speed and accuracy. Now, let's shift gears and talk about another great advantage of e-filing: convenience. Imagine trying to file a paper return while traveling or living abroad. That's a story for our next segment. But before we move on, we encourage you to explore different tax software options to find the best fit for your needs. Research reviews, compare features, and choose the one that aligns with your tax situation and comfort level. There are many options out there, so find the one that works for you. Imagine this. Taylor, you're a digital nomad working remotely from a beach in Bali. It's tax season, but instead of stressing about international mail and potential delays, you seamlessly file your taxes online using e-file. That's the power and convenience we're diving into now. So Sam, how does e-file make tax filing easier for people like our hypothetical Taylor in Bali, or anyone living abroad or traveling extensively?
E-file removes the geographical barriers of traditional paper filing. You don't need to worry about finding a local postal service, dealing with international postage costs, or worrying about your return getting lost in transit. You can file anytime, anywhere with a secure internet connection.
That makes so much sense. It reminds me of when we talked about the speed of e-filing. It's not just about faster processing, but faster access to the filing process itself. If I were traveling, I wouldn't have to track down a printer or worry about finding a physical mailbox.
Exactly, Taylor. It's about access and efficiency. But that brings up another important point. Our second question for today: what security considerations should be taken when filing online, especially from a public network like, say, a cafe in Bali?
Excellent question, Alex. Security is paramount. While the IRS uses robust encryption, your end needs to be secure too. Avoid public Wi-Fi for filing. Instead, use a secure private network. Think of it like this. You wouldn't want to shout your social security number in a crowded cafe. Using public Wi-Fi for sensitive information is digitally similar.
So if I understand correctly, even though the transmission to the IRS is encrypted, using public Wi-Fi could still leave me vulnerable.
Precisely. Someone on the same network could potentially intercept your data before it gets encrypted. It's a weak link in the chain. A VPN can add a layer of protection if you must use public Wi-Fi, but a private network is always the best option.
Sam's advice is spot on. That's why it's so crucial to be mindful of your internet connection. Imagine a simpler example, Taylor. You wouldn't want to enter your bank details on a computer you don't trust. The same principle applies here.
So it's like choosing strong passwords. It's all about layers of security, protecting yourself at every point.
Absolutely. So key takeaways. E-file empowers you to file from anywhere, eliminating geographical limitations. However, prioritize security. Avoid public Wi-Fi for filing. Opt for a secure private network. And our call to action for this section: ensure your internet connection is secure when filing online, especially when using public Wi-Fi. So Taylor, we just talked about the convenience of e-filing from anywhere in the world, which is a huge plus for digital nomads and frequent travelers. But convenience isn't the only benefit, right, Sam? Security is another major factor, especially for those concerned about their sensitive financial information falling into the wrong hands. Let's explore that now with a scenario focusing on data protection. Imagine a taxpayer worried about identity theft, choosing e-file because of its secure transmission methods. This brings us to two key questions. First, how does e-file protect your tax information from theft or fraud, Sam? And second, Taylor, what are the potential risks associated with sending sensitive information through the mail, the traditional alternative?
E-file leverages strong encryption technology during transmission. Think of it like sending a coded message that only the intended recipient, in this case, the IRS, can decipher. This encryption protects your data from being intercepted and read by unauthorized parties. Furthermore, the IRS has rigorous security protocols and systems in place to protect the data once it's received.
That makes sense. Sending sensitive information through the mail feels risky. I mean, there's always the chance of mail theft or misdelivery. My grandmother had her tax refund check stolen from her mailbox a few years back, which was a huge headache. It took months to get it resolved. And that was just a check. Imagine if someone got their hands on your entire tax return with your social security number and all your financial details.
That's an excellent point, Taylor, and a perfect illustration of the vulnerability of paper returns. The reference article mentioned that the IRS has securely processed over 1 billion e-filed returns. That speaks volumes about the reliability of the system. Sam, could you elaborate a bit more on those IRS security protocols you mentioned? What specific measures are in place?
Sure. The IRS uses a multi-layered approach to security. This includes firewalls to block unauthorized access, intrusion detection systems that constantly monitor for suspicious activity, and data encryption both in transit and at rest. They also have strict access controls, so only authorized personnel can access taxpayer information.
So, if I understand correctly, the data is protected during transmission and while it's stored on IRS servers. That's reassuring. This reminds me of what we discussed earlier about filing from abroad. Even if you're using a public Wi-Fi network, that encryption provided by e-file offers an added layer of protection.
Exactly, Taylor. You're connecting the dots perfectly. Even though public Wi-Fi can be risky, that initial encryption step with e-file significantly reduces the risk of your information being compromised during transmission.
And to build on that point, while no system is entirely foolproof, the security risks associated with e-file are significantly lower than the risks of mailing paper documents. With paper, you have the risk of loss, theft, damage, and even improper disposal. E-file minimizes these risks.
So to recap, e-file uses strong encryption to protect your information during transmission. The IRS has comprehensive security protocols in place to safeguard your data once received. And while paper returns carry significant risks of loss or theft, e-file minimizes these vulnerabilities. Now that we've explored the security advantages of e-filing, let's move on to another benefit: getting your refund quickly and efficiently. This leads us to our next scenario: combining e-file with direct deposit. But before we do, I strongly encourage everyone listening to learn more about the IRS's security measures and data protection protocols for e-filed returns. You can find detailed information on the IRS website. It's well worth your time to understand how your sensitive data is protected. So, we've talked about how e-filing keeps your sensitive data safe from prying eyes, which is a huge plus. But another major advantage of e-filing, especially when combined with direct deposit, is how it speeds up getting your refund. Let's dive into a scenario where this speed really makes a difference. Imagine a family expecting a sizable tax refund, and they want to use that money for a down payment on their dream home. Time is of the essence here. This is our scenario: fast refund with direct deposit and e-file. So Taylor and Sam, let's say this family is eager to move into their new house. They've been saving diligently, and their tax refund is the final piece of the puzzle. How does direct deposit, combined with e-filing, actually help them get their refund faster?
Well, if I understand correctly, e-filing itself is already faster than mailing a paper return, right? But adding direct deposit seems like it would cut out even more time. Like, instead of waiting for a check in the mail, the money just shows up in your bank account. Is that how it works, Sam?
Exactly. With a paper return, the IRS has to process the return, print a check, and mail it. That can take weeks. Direct deposit eliminates the printing and mailing steps, shaving off significant processing time. It's like ordering something online. You get it much faster with digital delivery than waiting for the postal service.
That's a great analogy, Sam. Think of it like this: the IRS already has your banking information if you're paying taxes electronically. So when it's time to send a refund, it's like an instant transfer right back into the account they already have on file.
So, what are some other advantages of direct deposit besides speed? I can imagine it's safer than a check getting lost or stolen in the mail.
Absolutely. Security is a big one. There's no risk of a physical check being misplaced or stolen. Plus, with direct deposit, you don't have to worry about going to the bank to deposit it, which saves you another trip. And you can generally access your funds faster than waiting for a check to clear.
That's a really good point about access, Sam. Taylor, remember when we talked about the convenience and security of e-filing? This ties in directly with that. It's all about streamlining the process and making it more efficient and secure.
This reminds me of when I had to wait for a paper check from a client. It took forever, and then I had to make a special trip to deposit it. It was such a hassle. Direct deposit sounds way better.
It definitely is, especially in a situation like our family waiting for their down payment. Every day counts when you're trying to close on a house. So let's recap. Direct deposit, combined with e-filing, significantly speeds up your refund. It's more secure, eliminates trips to the bank, and gives you faster access to your money. If you're expecting a refund, especially a large one, setting up direct deposit is essential. It's the most efficient and secure way to receive your money. So we've seen how combining e-file with direct deposit can get your refund into your bank account quickly, which is fantastic. But what if you're on a tight budget and the cost of tax software or hiring a professional is a concern? That leads us to another great advantage of e-filing: free options. Let's imagine a college student, Taylor, who's working part-time and trying to make every penny count. She wants to e-file but needs an affordable solution. Sam, who is eligible for the IRS Free File program.
The IRS Free File program is designed to help low to moderate income taxpayers. Generally, if your adjusted gross income is below a certain threshold, which is updated annually, you qualify. For example, for the 2023 tax year, the AGI limit was $73,000.
So if I made less than $73,000 in 2023, I could have potentially used free file. That's great. I remember struggling to find extra cash to file last year. This could have really helped me back then.
Exactly, Taylor. It's a significant saving, especially for students and families on a budget. Sam, what are some other free options for e-filing, even if someone's income is above the free file AGI limit?
Even if you don't qualify for the guided free file program offered through partner software companies, you can still use the IRS's free fillable forms. These are electronic versions of the paper tax forms. They don't offer the same level of guidance as the guided software, but they're a completely free way to e-file, regardless of your income.
So if I understand correctly, free file guided software is for those below the AGI limit and provides step-by-step help, while free fillable forms are available for everyone but offer less guidance. Is that right?
Precisely. The guided software through Free File is like having a simplified tax assistant. It asks questions in plain language and helps you fill out the right forms. Free fillable forms, on the other hand, are more like filling out the paper forms on your computer. You'll need a good understanding of tax law to use them effectively.
A good analogy might be using a recipe versus cooking without one. Guided software provides the recipe, while free fillable forms are for those comfortable freestyling in the kitchen, so to speak.
That makes sense. So even if someone isn't eligible for the guided free file, they still have a free option for e-filing, which is much better than paying for software or a professional.
Absolutely. It's all about finding the right tool for your situation. So let's recap. Free file guided software is available for those under a certain income limit and offers step-by-step guidance. Free fillable forms are available to everyone, regardless of income, but require a more in-depth understanding of tax law. Both offer free e-filing, which saves you money and gets you your refund faster. Remember to check your eligibility for free filing options to save money on tax preparation. Don't leave money on the table. So Taylor, we just talked about how great free e-filing options are for eligible taxpayers, especially students like the one in our example. But what about folks with more complex tax situations? That leads us to our next scenario, where we'll explore choosing the right e-filing method for a small business owner. Imagine you're running your own bakery. You've got ingredient costs, equipment depreciation, employee salaries. Your taxes are a bit more involved than someone with just a W-2. This scenario looks at how a small business owner navigates the different e-file options, using tax software, hiring a tax professional, or going the free fillable forms route. So Sam, let's dive in. What factors should someone consider when choosing an e-filing method?
The best method depends on your individual circumstances. Complexity is definitely key. A simple tax return with just wages and standard deductions? Tax software or even free fillable forms might be sufficient. But for our bakery owner who likely has itemized deductions, business income, and potentially even self-employment taxes, the complexity ramps up.
So if I understand correctly, the more complex my finances, the more likely it is that I might need more assistance, like from tax software or a professional.
Exactly. Another factor is comfort level with tax laws. Are you comfortable navigating tax forms and understanding the implications of different deductions and credits? If not, tax software can help guide you, or a tax professional can handle it entirely.
That's a great point, Sam. Think of it like baking a cake. If you're making a simple vanilla cake, you might be fine with a basic recipe. But if you're trying a complex multi-layered creation, you might need a more detailed guide or even a pastry chef. Sam, you also mentioned free fillable forms. When would that be a suitable option?
Free fillable forms are essentially electronic versions of paper forms. They're great for people comfortable with tax law who just want a free electronic option. They offer no guidance, though, unlike tax software.
This reminds me of what we discussed about accuracy. With free fillable forms, there's more chance for error because you're inputting everything manually, right? Whereas tax software does calculations for you and helps flag potential mistakes.
Precisely, Taylor. And to add to that, Sam, when might it be particularly beneficial to hire a tax professional for e-filing?
Besides complexity and comfort level, another big factor is time. Do you have the time to dedicate to learning tax software or navigating free fillable forms? A tax professional saves you that time and can also identify potential deductions or credits you might miss. For our bakery owner, a professional could be especially beneficial with things like depreciation calculations and navigating self-employment taxes.
So for someone running a small business, the cost of hiring a tax professional could be offset by the deductions they might find, right? It's almost like an investment.
Exactly. It's about weighing the cost against the potential benefits.
To summarize, choosing the right e-filing method depends on your individual situation, the complexity of your finances, your comfort level with tax laws, and how much time you have. Software helps with calculations and guidance. Free fillable forms are a bare-bones free option, and tax professionals provide expertise and save you time. So we've covered the how-tos of e-filing. Next, we'll talk more about the security aspects, particularly how the IRS protects your sensitive data when you file electronically. In the meantime, we encourage you to research the various e-filing options, tax software, tax professionals, and free fillable forms to determine the best fit for your individual circumstances. You can find a wealth of information on the IRS website, irs.gov. And there you have it, another episode of Safe Simple Sound Tax Edition, dedicated to helping you take control of your finances. Today, we explored the many advantages of e-filing your taxes, drawing from that helpful article, Why Should I File Electronically? We covered everything from the speed and accuracy benefits, remember that last-minute filer getting their refund in a flash, to the convenience and security of filing from anywhere in the world. We even touched on the often overlooked free filing options available, empowering everyone to file smartly and efficiently. Just like we discussed in the beginning, e-filing truly does offer a pathway to creating that financial safety net by getting your refund faster and avoiding errors. A big thank you for spending this time with us today. We truly appreciate you being part of the Safe Simple Sound community. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to the resources we mentioned, and while you're there, why not leave us a review? We love hearing from you. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode where we'll be diving into more tax topics. Until then, keep making those sound financial choices. This is Alex, signing off, wishing you all safe, simple, and sound finances.
That's all for this episode. If you found it valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. For more insights, you can join my newsletter at safesimplesound.com. If you would like personalized guidance, you can reach out to us at safesimplesound.com/contact. Until next time, take care and bye for now.